So years ago, the Browns drafted Johnny Manziel. And the funny little anecdote that was thrown out there was Jimmy Haslam said that a unhoused man on the street told him as they were leaving some place to draft Johnny Manziel. And then Johnny ends up being a bum, and it turns out that from then on, it's been a bum taught you into drafting a bum, is basically what fans have called in and said. And I think he was kind of going for a fun story. It ended up being a total disaster because Johnny's a total disaster. It made me think of last night, that story. The reason I bring it up, because I think Kenny was just trying to tell a nice story, and I wake up to like 30 tone, I'm not lying, 30 texts about Kenny apparently having his head up his ass when he said this about having dinner with the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
It's the coolest thing. And it was like a surprise. Like he just kind of surprised us. I'm not having dinner with Dan every night, right? It's kind of special. It was cool that he did that. He made the effort to come see us. He just had some sage advice, right? Like it's like, man, this guy's probably knows the team better than me. He knows these guys better than me. And I told you, made me think, especially the J.A. thing. I was like, J.A.'s the key to this? You sure? He was right.
Because Jared Allen ended up having a fantastic game. And I woke up this morning at 3:20, and it was nothing but a bunch of texts saying that Kenny doesn't know what he's doing. I'm like, come on. I think he's listen, the owner is a ball knower. He's a basketball guy. He knows the game. Without a doubt, he knows what he's talking about. However, come on, he's an NBA head coach. He didn't really.
Hold on, the people that are texting you are suggesting what they needed.
That Kenny didn't know what he was talking about.
They need to run a bunch of plays for Jared Allen.
He's an NBA head coach, and an NBA head coach should know that the game had to go through Jared Allen. He shouldn't have to have the owner tell him. Guys, that's what was relayed to me by. You can look at the phone, man. 30 different people.
The game does not. You're not playing through Jared Allen. No, the point of Jared Allen is, all right, a couple of switches a game. Maybe you get a guard pinned on him and then, all right, get him the ball. But the problem is he's never been a good free throw shooter. Last night, they all were missing free throws last night. He missed 6, but he was 7 of 13. You'll take that. But no, do I think against the Knicks we're running offense through Jared Allen? No, I do not. I disagree with your friends, Kenny.
Well, they were saying about the game last night against Detroit. Yes, go ahead.
Let's put a little more context to exactly what Dan said to Kenny in their dinner before Game 7.
Thank you.
I had dinner with Dan Gilbert last night. He came over to our hotel. He goes, you know who the key to this whole thing is? The spark of this is Jared Allen. I said, really? People who observe from afar, plus Dan knows the team well and knows these guys. It was really, I was like, man, I went to my room. I'm like, man, I'm going to run the first play for him.
I get totally where you're coming from, Kenny. It sounds like he went, I've never thought about Jared Allen being good at basketball.
He's a pro coach.
Thank you, billionaire owner.
He's a pro coach. And not a lot of people. What do you think Kenny's approval rating is in the city? We did this with Stefanski all the time. Is it over 50%? Kenny Atkinson's approval rating, is it over 50%
it might be
in the city?
Back to 50%.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
It seems like
so. There's definitely a lot of people who don't really trust Kenny, right?
It seems like people act like had they have had a different coach, they would not have struggled versus Toronto and struggled against Detroit. Even though Detroit was the series favorite in the 7th.
Who would have been the coach?
The 1 seed.
You got to have answers, though. Who would have been the coach? We do this all the time in football. It's like, okay, you can give me coaches that you like, but in basketball, I don't hear a whole lot of alternatives to what you have. I mean, you could kind of go with Barajo if you wanted to, but you're really just going to give me Kenny Atkinson and go, well, Kenny Atkinson can't fit the bill. Figure it out, get rid of him, and get somebody else. So when he says this, it totally reminded me of the Jimmy situation with Johnny, where it's like, oh, God. Except, they're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Browns were just a nosedive and a mess out there in the ocean, whereas
here's the
Cavs are going to the Conference Finals.
Interesting thing to me is, look, everybody just assumed if they lose that game last night, Kenny's getting fired. We have questions about Kobe Altman, right? The wild swings of opinions. This would have been one of those teams where there would have been so many questions about, are they moving Mobley? Did they trade Donovan to get out of having to pay him $70 million a year? What do they do with the Harden situation? If they supposedly had a handshake deal that he's going to get 2 years, who knows, $80 million, $90 million, whatever. You're going to pay him that late. We would sit here and talk about all these deals for a team that was in the second apron, and he's just having dinner with the coach like the night before when everybody has written their obituary. It is. I know they make a lot of money in that league, so they can be professional. But I do wonder what Kenny was thinking, because there were times in this series where they would show him on the bench, and he kind of had this cheesy smile right before the games, like as he was getting in his Zen mode. And you would look and go, what is he thinking about this team? Does he think this team has what it takes to get past this round? He's such an honest guy in these settings.
Yeah, but what I'm pointing out is coaches come and coaches go, and we don't need to necessarily look for things like, I don't think J.B. Bickerstaff is a bit of a blowhard, and that's coming from me. JB is a bit of a blowhard. I never called him stupid. I don't think he's stupid. And I don't think that Kenny's stupid. I really don't know if there are any stupid NBA head coaches. I mean, there might be a couple out there, but I don't think that Kenny Atkinson is, and I didn't think that JB was, or is for that matter. And it just, I could see it getting a little bit overblown this morning, and I kind of wanted to head it off. I understand what Owen's saying. I respect what Owen's saying. I know a lot of people kind of took it as if, like, hey, come on, you sound like a buffoon when you're saying these sort of things. He's a fantastic player. He's outplayed his contract.
Owen's saying this. I'm just relating what I'm hearing.
Okay, I'm sorry. Then relating what you're hearing about it, the people texting me, fine. I understand what you're trying to say. But I just don't think it's as football style as we always think it is, where we're just like, that coach is a moron.
I do think Kenny has a problem with his delivery and things. I mean, he had the whole James Harden told us to start having walkthroughs in the ballroom, and he had never done that before. But the way he comes off when he says these things are like, these are the light bulb coming on for the first time from him. I think, obviously, he's a pretty good coach, or he wouldn't even got a shot to be an NBA coach in the first place.
But
it's just, at this point, we're down to the final four teams to be nitpicky on what Kenny says. I do think it's a little overblown.
And I agree. And there we go. That's where it needs to be.
I just think Jared Allen is at this stage, and what he is. Remember, we always like, we have two bigs, two 7 foot. He's not 7 feet. He's not like if he stood next to Victor Wembanyama, he would be like 2 feet. It would look like he's 2 feet shorter. Okay, he's not the quintessential classic center, so he can't just take advantage of the matchups that people think he can take advantage of. What he can do is come over, help provide big-time rim protection the way he has in this series, and then the activity, right? He'll never, maybe two Game 7s. He's had terrific Game 7 performances. Maybe we can officially put to bed the lights are bright, the comment he made, a few years ago.
You're playing the Knicks coming up tomorrow.
I'm saying has he not just had 2 mammoth Game 7s?
True.
Fine, use the words against him. Maybe that'll fuel him. Maybe that's bulletin board material. But a guy like Jared Allen, he's not going to be able to be consistent every game. That's not who he is. But man, was it awesome to see that level of intensity. That's what he does need to have to bring. He is going to have to bring that intensity. Yeah. I don't think he's going to play great every series. This Mitchell Robinson thing, I thought the last time they played the Knicks, and we're going to talk more about this tomorrow with the matchups. The last time they played the Knicks, the rebounding was kind of a draw. And our bigs held up. And it's going to have to be that, because it is going to be a war.
You're going to have to say that over and over.
Bear hugs underneath the rim for the entirety of that series.
You're going to have to say that over and over, because the way a lot of people remember it, when Mitchell Robinson was basically rubbing their nose in it at the end of that series, you're bringing it up that it was relatively even. Like, I think a lot of people will remember that, getting ready for tomorrow, thinking that Jared Allen was just absolutely owned at the boards by Mitchell Robinson all series long. So you're going to have to repeat that. The only thing I'm saying on Kenny's behalf is that when they were winning 64 games in the regular season, I think a lot of people just thought it was kitschy and fun and anything like that. Now, when they've lost a series to Indiana, which Indiana just beat them because they were better, when you've lost a series to Indiana, when you failed to exceed the expectations that are set there, the lofty goals that are there, there's always going to be those comments that are picked apart. And I think we got a little bit, at least the people that I talked to, I thought that they were a little bit too nitpicky about what Kenny said yesterday. It does come off a little bit goofy. I will admit that, but I thought he was trying to tell a funny story.